Dennis Prager. I got a 2-day audition at KBC, and I've been in talk radio now for about 25 years. One of the things that I've talked about time and time again is the importance of fathers in our lives. Back in 1965, a guy named Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who later on became a Democratic senator, wrote a report called The Negro Family, A Case for National Action. I was in college in 1970, and we read the book when I was a freshman. And most of the white kids, I went to an Ivy League school, only about 10% of the school was black. Most of the white kids called the man that wrote the book racist, patriarchal, and condemned him. And I'm sitting in the back, I raised my hand, I said, you know, I grew up in the inner city, and I'm beginning to see more and more single-parent households and seeing a lot of guys acting out, and I think maybe he's gone to something. So I got called an Uncle Tom by the white kids, and shuffling bootlicking by the white kids, and Uncle Tom by the handful of black kids that were in the class. Same thing's happening right now. Fact is, in 1965, 25% of black kids were born outside of wedlock. The number now is 73%. And I didn't say this, Obama did. A kid raised out of dad is 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crimes, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in jail. Tupac Shakur, speaking of him, he said, I know for a fact, had I had a father, I would have been more disciplined, I would have had more confidence. I once interviewed a guy named Kwesi Mfume. He used to be the head of the NAACP. One of the few so-called black leaders I can get on my show. I've called Jesse 50 times, Al Sharpton 50 times, Maxine Waters 100 times, they won't come on. But Kwesi Mfume did come on. And I said, Mr. Mfume, as between the presence of white racism or the absence of black fathers, which poses the bigger threat to the black community? Without missing a beat, he said, the absence of black fathers. It's a huge problem. And what we've done in our country is incentivize women to marry the government and allowed men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. When Lyndon Johnson launched the war on poverty, there is a quote that's attributed to him in a book written by a man named Ronald Kessler. And he said, once the effects of my new Great Society program filter down, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. I'm not saying there was a plot. What I'm saying is it created this disincentive that has destroyed families. Not just black families. 25% of white families today are now born, white boys are now born outside of wedlock. 50% of Latinos are born outside of wedlock. The only percentage that's higher than the black percentage are Native Americans on reservations, 80%. And there's a direct relationship between that, dropping out of school, going to jail, all the other social problems that we talk about. Starts with the family.